What is up, guys? Welcome to another tutorial brought to you by the AFK developer. Today we are going to learn how to make a secure website with Let's Encrypt and Traefik. And I'm going to show you the configuration. I'm going to walk you through the steps and basically what every command is doing and how it works. And ultimately, you're going to get a secure site. This site is currently secured with TLS, Let's Encrypt, through Traefik. Now let's get cracking. Okay, so I have my Docker Compose file opened up here. Now this is the main Docker Compose file that's going to be the proxy with Traefik for my application. It's a Node application, and that's running that you saw that was secured. So my first service that I call out is obviously going to be Traefik. This is where I'm going to set everything up. I'm going to put all the rules in here for Traefik. And obviously the ports that we definitely need are 80 and 443. 443 is especially important for our secure website because all HTTPS is served over 443. I have these other ports open, 8080 and 4000. 8080 is the Traefik port where I can go in and see what's going on with my middlewares, my services, and just check on everything and see how it's going. And 4000 I'm using for my node service. So this command, this is my static configuration for Traefik. So this stuff, you put this stuff in here, and then when you boot up your container, this configuration stays with your container. You can also create a dynamic configuration file for other configurations, like your routes and stuff like that. But in this example, we are doing everything within this file. So all my commands here are for my Traefik container, just to set it up properly. And down here, I have my commands for my node container for the front end. So I'm going to set my log level to debug. I'm going to use this for development purposes, API insecure, API dashboard. This gives me access to the dashboard to be able to just check on things in Traefik and see, how my services are, my middlewares, stuff like that. Docker is going to be the provider, and I'm not exposing it by default because in this configuration, I'm going to have a database as well, a Postgres database. And I don't necessarily want Traefik to proxy my database, so I'm going to not expose it by default. Now, whenever you put this to false, that means that Traefik is not going to automatically pick up these containers. I think by default, this is set to true. So unless you specify, Traefik automatically picks up all of your other Docker containers. So it would proxy my database and it would proxy this, and I wouldn't have to do anything special. But because I put it to false, down here I have to do Traefik enable to true so that it picks it up. And these three right here is where I'm setting up my entry points. This is obviously port 80 for the web, which is an unsecured port. 443 is my secure one, and my node address, which is what I'm going to run my backend node on, which is 4000. And this is where the magic happens per this tutorial, what we're learning. We're learning how to create a secure website through Traefik. So there's a bunch of different challenges, and in this example, I'm using HTTP challenge. There's also TLS challenge, there's a DNS challenge, but in this example, I'm using HTTP challenge. And for the HTTP challenge, the entry point is port 80, and then we're going to redirect it to 443, but that's how the HTTP challenge works. So here in the second line, we have to display, or we have to set port the entry point web for our HTTP challenge. So I'll go over this command, is certificate resolvers dot, and then in here is the name of your resolver. This is what you're going to use to identify your resolver when you're using it in another container. and it's going to be an Acme challenge, and it's HTTP challenge equals true. If you were to do a TLS challenge, you would do TLS challenge equals true. But in this case, we're doing HTTP challenge. Now, typically with a TLS challenge, you wouldn't have to do this second line, but basically what this second line is doing is it's setting the entry point to web for this challenge, because it is required for the HTTP challenge. Now, when you're pinging, when you're configuring this and setting up Let's Encrypt on your website, it is important to note that Let's Encrypt has a rate limit. And if you hit that rate limit with your domain, well, it's not so easy to secure it. It actually doesn't let you, in my experience, I've hit it before and it throws an error. It doesn't give me the certificate, so I have to figure out another way, and it's kind of frustrating. So in the beginning, when you're doing this for the first time, the second time, you got to make sure that this is uncommented. And you can find this directly on their website. I'm going to add to the description a link to the page where this specific configuration and all these lines live, so that you'll be able to have them in reference to them. And in here is where my HTTP challenge Acme email address is. So this is important. This has to go here. This is the same for all challenges. And then we're pointing to a Let's Encrypt acme.json folder, directory, and file. If you notice here in my volumes, I'm mounting this directory. And you do not have to create this directory. We are going to automatically create this directory. When we fire this up, Traefik will create it for us. So don't worry about creating it. Just make sure that you put your email address here and that you mount it here and you declare it up here, because this is where your certificates, your Acme certificates, are going to be stored. So it's important to obviously mount it and reference it here. Okay, so technically this sets up, it's in the middleware, it sets up your resolver, your HTTPS solution. This sets that up, and as long as all this is correct, you're good to go. You should be able to connect your container to HTTPS. So let's go down to the client container here. And now I'm going to go through these lines one by one. So we're enabling Traefik, true, so that Traefik picks up this container. And we're going to create a middleware to redirect from port 80 to port 443, from HTTP to HTTPS. So right here is where we do that. Traefik.http.middlewares, and we're going to name it my redirect scheme to HTTPS. This is saying, hey, create a middleware, name it my redirect, and redirect it to HTTPS. Over here is where we are assigning the middleware to this container, and I name this route, this router right here is ecom. So Traefik.http.routers.ecom.middlewares equals my redirect. So that's saying put my redirect on this container. So anytime somebody visits HTTP onto this address right here, we're going to route that to HTTPS. So we're going to continue on, and we're going to add an address here with the rule, and entry point web. So we're declaring, this is like how you would set up an unsecured container right here. Just declare entry point web and set the rule, and then put the host of the URLs in there. And then you would put the Traefik.enable true. Everything else is for our secure setup. So down here, after all of this up here, we're going to start moving into the secure stuff. So if you notice, this is going from ecom to ecom secure. So I'm declaring the host, the URLs here again, but it's going to be ecom secure instead of ecom. And then I'm putting the entry point for ecom secure to web secure, which is going to be the entry point that lives up here. And then this is where I'm setting the challenge, the HTTP challenge. So if you notice, I named it my HTTP challenge. And here is where I'm setting that up, my HTTP challenge. And then TLS equals true. So let's use TLS. Let's secure this container. And guys, that's really it. We are done. That is set up. And once you put this on your server, I'm assuming you have already run an unsecured version of your site. Once you place this on your server and you run Docker Compose up, it's going to pop up with a web page, and it's going to be one of those certificates where it gives you a warning. And that means that because we are using the CA server right now for testing. But once that works and you're able to get to your site on 443, then you would go back, come in here, you would comment this line out, you would delete this directory on your server because we're going to want to create a new one with the new legit certificates. This is an important step, and in order for it to work after you've already tested with this, you must delete this directory. It's going to create a brand new one automatically, and it's going to have your new HTTPS certificates inside of there. So don't forget to do that after you've tested this with this uncommented and your site pops up and it's working and you're not getting any errors. You know everything's good to go. Then you come in here, comment this out, and delete this directory on your server. Fire this up again, just like this, and you will have your HTTPS certificates. Your site will pop up and it will be secure. Guys, that's the basic way to set this up for your secure website with HTTPS. It's really, really simple. An example of doing this with a TLS challenge would be to comment or delete this line, change this, TLS challenge, and that's it. I would change the name of this because we're not using an HTTP challenge anymore. We're using a TLS challenge now. So I would change the name of this, but you don't need this line. And you can uncomment this for testing. Same like you did with the HTTP challenge. But that's just the basic way to set up your site with HTTPS with Traefik. Traefik is amazing. It can do everything for you. Just make sure that you're doing things the right way. If you hit that rate limit, it's kind of frustrating. One of my sites right now is actually using Cloudflare for HTTPS. And I'll make a separate video for that, but that is very, very, very simple, where you can just create a free Cloudflare account and have HTTPS through Cloudflare for your website. So I hope that helps you guys. That's all I have for today. If you got value from this video, don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe to my channel for all the latest content. I'm putting out videos weekly, and I'm looking forward to bringing more content to you guys. Thank you. Have a good one.